on Revenge of the Sith.
All right, so The Last
Good movie.
Jedi. The Last Jedi. We'll do Rogue One second. Okay, so
Breathe. Just breathe. Now, reach out. What do you see?
I have two streams of thought. Bear with me. So, okay, number one, there are elements of that movie that I don't dislike. I don't hate the notion of the grizzled mentor character as far as Luke is concerned. There are certain action sequences that are pretty fun. I discovered Star Wars needs levity, and it has that. Okay, here's the rest. The rest is this movie does take an active dump and shit on the previous movie in kind of a astonishing way, where it goes, "Hey, you know all the shit that we set up in the previous movie? What if I dropped trow and just took a massive diarrhea all over it? And then as I was doing the massive diarrhea all over it, I looked at you and I went, you. This is your fault. You're the reason I'm doing this. You're the reason. You're bad. You're bad for liking this.
Learn the lesson.
Learn the lesson of me taking a shit on the previous movie." That's what that movie is. That's pretty much what that movie is. And it's emblematic of everything that's wrong with modern Star Wars, where it requires you to have read previous shit in order to understand a relationship that's established for the book, for the movie to function. You're like, oh, you're supposed to just inherently trust the stupid purple-haired chick.
The purple-haired chick,
which you only know that they're friends based upon a book that you were supposed to read. It's fucking stupid. It's everything that's wrong with modern Star Wars.
So to touch on the Luke being a grizzled, defeated mentor role, I kind of came to this realization. The reason why that doesn't work for me in these movies is because we never got to see Luke at the height of his Jedi, of being.
That's point two for me. Is this feels like a sequel to a series of movies we never saw. So this feels like the end point of a character arc that Luke never got to have, and I think that's why people hate it so much. I think it's the ending of a story we never got to see, and it's made all the more worse by having Luke be like, having Luke be like, "What did you think was gonna happen?" Like, I think by having him come in with that tone of voice,
arrogant and smug,
like he throws the lightsaber over his shoulder. Like, maybe if there was some sort of reverence put to this, and he was like more defeated. Again, the concept of him.
That's it. That's it. Because that movie is Rian Johnson for whatever reason, basically saying like, Star Wars is actually lame. Here's a much more introspective and nerdy look. And by the way, animal rights, man. Which, fair enough, but in fucking Star Wars?
Here's the thing, though. Right?
So here's real quick. I think if they had made Luke in this movie more like what they made Obi-Wan, like in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, where he's broken, he's defeated, he's tired, he just feels like defeated. If they made him more like that, then I think he would have worked better.
It's the attitude. It's the having Luke. It's not even that it's Luke. It's having Mark Hamill look into the camera and be like, "Star Wars is stupid, and you're stupid for liking Star Wars. I'm Luke Skywalker, and I'm saying this to you." Yeah,
if it had been a moment where Rey hands him the lightsaber, and I would have even been okay with him dropping it in front of him.
Yeah.
Or being like, I can't, and giving it back to her. Actually, the drop probably would make more sense, but it's the
Yeah, it's
of it all.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, what I would have done,
He
or
thinks
what
it's
I
funny.
I would have had it be, where like he was standing like at a table or something, and he looks at it for a second, and then just very solemnly puts it on the table and walks away.
Right?
That's more
Yeah.
respectful. That's like, it's the tossing it over the shoulder, like I don't give a fuck. Like,
So there's that, and there's a narrative problem with it because in the same fucking movie, when Luke spends the whole movie being like, the Jedi need to die. It all needs to die. It all needs to burn. And then when he's burning it, he's like, wait, I gotta save the texts.
Right?
And it's like,
dumb.
make up your mind. Like, make up your
It's like-
mind.
and that's just it. It's not even a problem with Luke. It's an issue with the script because the script ignores. Not only does it ignore or write out shit on Star Wars things, it ignores and shits on things that they establish in the same script.
But and here,
Like that.
Here's my thing, and like I've always maintained, it's not the subversive ideas or the this isn't Star Wars shit in that script that people don't like. And the reason why I can say that is because they took all of that shit, the Canto Blight, the aristocrats in the Star Wars universe are weird Hunger Games-esque freaks who dress weird and are they took all that shit and they put it into Andor, and people fucking love Andor. So
Right.
that's
It's not
The
that.
diversion. It's the diversion to the plot.
Yeah.
Which it's a stupid plot to begin with. Like the whole thing is just dumb. People who should be able to think logically do things that no sane person would do. Like, I mean, where do I begin? Holdo's plan is to not tell anyone the plan
right, well,
until
okay.
the very last minute.
My-
and
my-
if you're gonna do the Holdo maneuver, why did you wait?
Well-
Why it's just fucking stupid.
To be fair,
It's just fucking stupid.
to be fair, her plan was that the First Order. Oh my God, they're all the same. The First Order wasn't tracking the escape pods. It was only tracking the big ship. The only reason why it started tracking the escape pods was because Benicio del Toro ratted them out. So the idea was that they were going to escape, and the reason why she didn't tell Oscar Isaac is because he was a low-ranking guy and she had no reason to. That was kind of the
He was a
idea,
captain.
right? But the idea was he had been demoted to from admiral
That's
to
right,
captain,
yeah.
and she was like, I essentially was like, you fucked everything up. I have no reason to communicate to you. Why would I? So,
Well,
like, in
but
terms of-
here's my thing though. He didn't.
Well, I mean, as far as her superior, which is Leia, is concerned, he was put in charge and he was demoted. So, like, and within the context of it being a military structure, I did understand why she might not necessarily communicate to him. But there does hit a point where he's a problem. She should. That I will say.
The thing for me is it's not even so much that she wants to withhold stuff from Poe. That's the problem. Who is she? Like, as an audience member, who
That's
is
just
she?
it.
Put another character in there. Have like a Lando Calrissian, or have another
would've been better,
person that's there that we as the audience know who they are and know we can trust them and know they're not doing something. Like,
Instead, it's just making Laura Dern look stupid,
Right?
yeah.
which is really hard to do.
Also,
but and
sorry.
oh no, it's just there's so many things. Like the fact I get in universe Poe gets demoted because he disobeyed a direct order, but he was right. Because I understand his logic. We're not going to get this chance again, and his job as a squad leader is to make calls on the fly, and he did, and he succeeded. That's the same sort of behavior that got Luke Skywalker and Han Solo promoted within the rebellion.
Fair point.
Those are things that are good, and Leia knows that, and for Leia to demote him is something that Leia would not do. Leia would have promoted him, if anything.
Fair point.
So,
I mean,
and see that's where and this is this is an interesting thing. In one of my later things that I'm going to be talking about, another character disobeys orders as well, and the ends up in front of the senators and stuff. And the point that they bring up in that show, which they don't in this movie, but it's obviously a thing that the behind the scenes people have retroactively thought about and are using, is this is no longer the rebellion. You can't just do what you want. There are consequences and laws, and there's fallout to your decisions, kind of scenario, kind of thing, right? So if they had done something like a line like that in this movie, it might have been less like aggravating. If they had been like, "This is no longer the rebellion. You can't just do what you want anymore. There's repercussions to your actions, and this is the repercussion. Fuck off!" Like, if they had done something like that, then it might have been more better. But
then the other giant problem with the sequel trilogy as a whole is the fact that, okay, the First Order is technically a rebellion.
They are, yeah.
And,
And
the Resistance, that's so stupid. You're not the Resistance if you're the government.
Exactly, yeah.
And the government theoretically has an army and a space navy, but apparently they don't, because apparently after the Empire fell, everybody became stupid.
Well,
and
but
was
also,
like, oh, this will never happen again.
I think in the first one, what was it? The first one of the new trilogy. I think when they used their Death Star 17, the ultimate Death Star, and blew up the 5 Republic planets. I think the idea is supposed to be that they destroyed like most of the Republic like in one go.
But they were the Resistance before that happened. It says it in the crawl.
Yeah, they were the ones they're the insurgency, basically.
And I can. There's another. So the other thing that the Force Awakens does, not the Force Awakens, sorry, Rise of Skywalker does, is okay. The whole space radio signal, and then everybody shows up to Leroy Jenkins, this bitch, but everybody shows up, and it's like, why? What? Why didn't you just fucking do that before?
Because that movie is dumb.
But that's why it's dumb. And don't even get me started with the secret fleet of Star Destroyers that's been there for theoretically at least 20 years.
I mean, somehow Palpatine has returned.
I am all of the Jedi.
I have less of an issue with that and more of an issue with, okay, that's got to be at least a few hundred Star Destroyers. And I got to assume that a Star Destroyer is roundabout similar to the size, maybe smaller, but similar to the size of the USS Enterprise. And that has a crew of 400 people. So let's think conservatively here. Let's say a Star Destroyer has a crew of 100. There's probably more, but let's say there's 100 people on your average Star Destroyer just to make the thing function. If you've got, that's a lot of people that you have to pay and feed for 20 years to just sit in a planet's atmosphere and do nothing. Just wait. Just wait for
fair point.
Something.
That's a fair point.
So just for fun, I looked it up. Imperial class Star Destroyers, like those seen in the original Star Wars trilogy, are crewed by approximately 37,000 personnel.
That seems extremely high.
Including, I'm just reading what Google says, including officers and enlisted crew plus a stormtrooper complement of 9,700. A lot is what this is saying.
Okay, so clearly they're much bigger than the USS Enterprise. But
to be fair, there's like 3 different versions of the Imperial Star Destroyer, like different classes. So some of them are bigger than others.
But yeah, my big thing with that sequel trilogy,
it just proves my point more.
Absolutely, absolutely, it does.
That movie needed a main character. Those movies need a main character. None of the characters get enough time to be interesting or develop any depth because there's no main character. They're just ideas of characters. They're not actual characters. Like, what is Rey's character arc throughout those movies? She doesn't have one. What is Poe's character arc? What is Finn's character arc? Finn is the only one who really gets a character arc, and then like his character arc gets shattered because his whole thing in the first one is he's a coward, and then he's back in this one kind of being a coward again. Like it doesn't. It's so, incoherent
until he falls in love with Rose Tico, and then he gets his balls.
And then poor Rose Tico gets bullied out of the next movie. Felt bad.
And wait! Remember the moment where they have like a cavalry of those animals on a Star Destroyer? And I'm like, where the fuck did they come from? We're in the atmosphere of a planet. Why are you? That's oh my god! Why would you jump? Why would you jump onto the outside of a ship to attack it? Like that just.
And it's funny because in the next one, yeah, they clearly. They try to write out Rose and then give him another love interest who's a or they were trying to set up seeds for another love interest with another black stormtrooper girl, which was funny.
I heard that they're making a new thing which has Finn the stormtrooper.
Yeah, they're supposedly making a new. Well, they're at one point they were making a new Rey movie where she was going to be old woman Rey. She was going to be in charge of the Jedi Temple now, and supposedly it was going to bring back Poe.
The only way they can save Star Wars, and this is a maybe, the beginning of the next movie, and they need to do it fast because Mark Hamill's not exactly young. They need to have Mark Hamill wake up. Like you get kind of like a montage of what happened in the trilogy to remind you of how bad it was, and then it just cuts to Mark Hamill going, and he's in his fucking Jedi robes and.
I think you could do him with old Mark Hamill, where he's old, he wakes up, goes, oh, and he turns to his equally decrepit wife, and he's like, "Honey, I had the worst nightmare. Thanks, young Luke Skywalker."
She just looks at him and goes, "Was it the sequel trilogy again?
Was it the Last Jedi nightmare again? It was. Come here, young Luke Jr."
This would be a wonderful little jab if, like, legit. I like that idea. He turns to Mara Jade, his wife, and she just looks at him and goes, "Are you the Last Jedi again?"
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Well, this will make you feel better." And then they go out into the hall and see like there are hundreds of students just bunking.
What's funny is this absolutely feels like something they would do in one of the Lego ones, like where they poke fun.
For sure.
Like, absolutely, it feels like one they would do. No, controversial opinion. I think Rey is boring, and I think the sequel trilogy. I think the sequel trilogy would have been far more interesting if we had followed a stormtrooper who started off dark and like a stormtrooper, and slowly kind of became I wouldn't even say a Jedi, but something in between.
Well, I just it was
and that was like the overarching point. Sorry, go ahead.
The initial trailer for The Force Awakens makes you think that's what's going to happen. The first shot you see is Finn, and then the trailer ends with Finn igniting the lightsaber.
Yeah,
that's what you think is going to happen.
The first poster, he dropped the lightsaber in his hands.
Because it would have been a really nice button hook if, like, by the end of the trilogy, the point was that the quote unquote Jedi were dead, like the Jedi as we knew them were dead, and he's now a new generation, and like it's a callback to Luke, and like there's it had potential. Yeah, that's my thing with the and I really. Yeah, it had potential, and they just...
A stormtrooper that becomes a Jedi? Come on, you tell me that doesn't sound interesting? Then, yeah, it's just some random girl from a junk planet. It was like, even if it was a boy, it'd be like, oh my god, we did random characters.
It's not, yeah. Planet. I want to be clear here. For me, it has nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman. It's nothing. She's just a boring character. She's a boring character who like they set her, and this is where I don't mind the first one in the trilogy because it sets up a bunch of cool, potentially cool plot threads that could have been okay, but then the next guy comes in and shits all over it, and then it's just a train wreck from that point on.
But I used to be like, no, he does, but he really does in his script actively diarrhea all over the previous movie. Like it reads that way. It's like and he has Luke Skywalker doing it, and I think that's why people got so insulted by it. Yeah,
and then because like in the first one. In the first one, they spend all this time. They're hunting for Luke. They've set it up. Like, you're really excited. You're going to get to see it's the Luke that we all know, and it's going to be Luke, and he's going to be like cool. And it's been all this time since the original, and then he's not Luke. That's ultimately my problem with what they do with him. No, he's not. He's not Luke. He's some other character.
It's that he looks into the camera and like tells you all the reasons why Star Wars is stupid. I think that's for me the part of it where I'm like, I get it.
Yeah, which is not Luke.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the version of Luke, it can be Luke.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
It's not Luke.
Like if you go deep into that Star Wars Legends, whatever, I'm sure there's like a Star Wars book somewhere where Luke is like, the Jedi are bad.
Well, I mean, there's stuff in the Legends where he falls to the dark side. So absolutely, there's stuff where he's like gritty and he's dark and he's not the hopeful Luke necessarily. But even in those books, I haven't obviously read every single book, but even in those books, I have to imagine he still feels like Luke.
Yeah.
In this, he doesn't feel like Luke. He feels like some other interpretation. But he doesn't feel like Luke, not to me anyway.
The whole trilogy kind of feels like a really bad fan fiction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like for me, you could tell, like, especially when it's one guy. I didn't know he wrote this by himself. That's the thing. Like, I didn't realize he wrote it, but it's completely just written by him. So like,
and nobody with any pull pulled him aside and said, "Ryan, this kind of sucks."
The moment that made me go, oh, I fucking hate this, was when everything involving Snoke. It just feels like, oh, you were expecting a cool twist, a clever twist.
He was nothing. He's just a Palpatine.
He's nothing. He's nobody. Like,
and the fact that it all eventually inevitably becomes because of Palpatine yet again, and it's like eye roll. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
For me, it's when he's like, "Oh, why are you wearing that stupid mask? Take off the stupid mask." And it's like, "But you're the reason he's wearing the stupid mask." What do you mean, take off the stupid mask? Because it's clearly Rian Johnson being like, "Darth Vader is stupid. Masks are stupid," and it's like, oh, you're trying to say something, and it's making you come across as petty. And it's like, yeah, no, it's moments like that.
My thing is like, awful. You clearly hate Star Wars. Why are you working on this?
It's the same reason they gave Mindy Kaling Scooby Doo.
Because you clearly hate Scooby-Doo.
I don't know. You clearly hate it. I don't know why they gave it to you, but
are you okay, Velma? Velma, are you okay?
I miss asking Velma if she was okay. She was never okay.
Oh, see, what's funny to kind of touch on that. There's another show that I discovered by accident, but I actually ended up liking it for the most part. It's a pretty good show. It's on Max, The Sex Lives of College Girls. It's not what you think it is. It's a very funny show. However, Mindy Kaling is one of the writers on the show, and it's very obvious because once again she has herself a self-insert character.
Of
course. And this girl is, like, at times she's one of the better, funnier characters that you're kind of rooting for. Towards it's really season 3 where she really goes downhill. But oh, well, no, that's not true. I'd say towards the end of season 2, she really goes downhill. And then it just gets worse in season 3. But there are even moments in season 1 where you're like, wow, she's kind of a terrible person. And you're having her say and do things to be funny. And it's like, no, that's actually reprehensible. And it's not as funny as you think it is.
It reminds me of.
I didn't even like her in The Office, if I'm being honest. I thought her character in The Office is unpleasant as well.
The way you describe it reminds me a lot of I share similar opinions of Tina Fey's writing, where like
that's true.
She writes female characters so unrealistically stupid, where they're so stupid that no human being would ever react to this. I couldn't get into the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt because every character on that show was unrealistically stupid. And the way she writes women just bothers me. I'm like, women aren't this dumb.
The show is honestly saved, because if it was just the character's name is Bella, if this were just Bella, it would be an awful show. And don't get me wrong, Bella has moments that are really, really good, but the other three characters really save it, because those three characters are written as like normal human beings, where sometimes they do bad things, but they never intend them to be bad. And they have to deal with the consequences of their actions, and they do so in ways that normal, thoughtful people would do, and they grow because of it. And Bella doesn't, I mean, I guess she changes, but not a lot. She comes across as very stunted, but that's not what they're going for, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Interesting. I wonder if that's on anything here, because that sounds interesting. I have to check it out.
Probably. It's genuinely funny. It's actually Timothée Chalamet's sister plays one of the roles, and it was so funny because I'm watching the show and I'm like, I know I've never seen her before, but God, she looks familiar. And then I read her name. I'm like, oh, that's because I see the Chalamet.
See the Chalamet of it all.
I see that Chalamet.
That's it. That's it for The Last Jedi for me. That's it. Yeah, no, I disliked it more this time. I don't know if I'm in.
You watched it again?
Oh yeah,
you poor soul.
We gotta watch everything for the show.
Everything we're talking about, we had to watch.
Yeah, it's not my least favorite Star Wars movie. I think that's always probably gonna be, Attack of the Clones. Hey everybody, it's Endcard Justin here. Please feel free to leave what I'm sure will be very measured and calm responses to The Last Jedi. Tell me what you think. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Tell me why we're wrong. Tell me why we're right. Tell me all your thoughts. Leave them in the comments. And in the meantime, if you would like to see the full May the 4th be with you Star Wars special with our friend Jake, you can click the box on the left. Or if you want to see a random video that YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy, you can click the box on the right. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, stick around, we'd love to have you. Or leave us a like, that also helps the video out a lot. But we will see you all in the next video. Have a good day, everybody.